this is Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and no, I am not doing a review of this right here. Actually, instead, what I'm going to be doing a review of is the Toyota Tundra Hybrid. However, I'm not going to do a walk around, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the details and features on this truck because Tim's already done that a lot. So I don't need to do that here. Instead, what I want to do in this video, because this is the hybrid, and this is the first time we've had the chance to drive the hybrid, I'm going to talk about driving impressions. I'm going to get into some of the hybrid-only features, which, yeah, we'll get into that. And then I'm going to talk about fuel economy, because I know that's a big question that you have. And finally, we are going to talk about towing. So let's take a closer look at the Toyota Tundra Hybrid right now. Before we jump into the rest of the review, I want to talk a little bit about the engine because this is the hybrid iForce Max, so that is definitely going to be different on this vehicle. And this is actually kind of cool. So you pop the hood, you have the little lever, and then that is so easy that I can do it. So here we are talking about the iForce Max, which is the hybrid powertrain for the Tundra. And this is a 3.5 liter V6 turbocharged engine with the hybrid powertrain. And what's really interesting about this specific powertrain is something that really hasn't been done before, and it's something that Toyota hasn't done before. And that is the fact that this is a single motor hybrid powertrain. So usually Toyota has two motors, you know, for electrification and mechanical power. But they went with one motor here in order to simplify the system and have better torque. We're going to talk a lot about torque in this review because that's really important. So in terms of specs, we've got the 437 horsepower and then 583 pound-feet of torque. And like I said, torque is going to be important. We're going to talk about towing, we're going to talk about fuel economy, and we're going to talk about how it drives. And by the way, torque plays a role in all of that. So we've seen the engine. Now let's take a look at the rest of this. Now, as a hybrid, I wanted to talk about some of those things that make this different from the regular gasoline model, and I'll be honest, there are not a lot of those things. So the first thing you're going to see, and really the only big thing you're going to see, is this right here. This digital cluster is going to be a little bit different than the gasoline model because you have the max gauge and the iForce gauge. And basically what those two items do are talk about when you're using the engine power versus the battery electric motor power. So yeah, what this doesn't have is a straight EV mode. So if you want to toggle through the drive modes a little bit, you have Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport, Sport S, and then a custom mode, but no EV mode. What you are going to get if you want to really try and get your best fuel economy, that is going to be your Eco mode. That's it. And there's another thing that this vehicle doesn't have, and that is going to be any kind of a display either behind the wheel or over here showing what your powertrain is doing. So in every other Toyota hybrid vehicle, you have a screen here that shows you when you are in electric only mode, when the gasoline is contributing, when your brakes are regenerating. Yeah, you don't have that here. You do have this vehicle trip information, and it shows you, you know, your current and your history for your speed, your fuel economy, all of that stuff. But a lot of what is the hybridness of a hybrid isn't here. Yeah, you will see some blue accents on the exterior and on the interior, and you will see that iForce Max badging, but in terms of what makes this special and unique as a hybrid, yeah, that's about it. Inside the Tundra Hybrid, and we are getting ready to tow, but before we do that, I actually just wanted to take a look at the towing systems because there's a really cool trailer calibration system here, and I'm going to turn the camera over to somebody who knows far more about the system than I do, and this is just really cool. So let's just take a closer look. All right, we are with Greg, who is a part of the drive team, and he is going to get into the details and specifics of this trailer calibration system. So let's get to it.
You got it. Well, it's a very unique and very advanced system that Toyota has here now for this trailer calibration. You have a towing button just here on the console that you press down, and basically it will bring up a utility function where it will detect when a trailer is connected to the vehicle, and then it will walk you through a system where you can choose the type of hitch, ball hitch, or a fifth wheel, the length of the trailer, the number of axles you have in the trailer. And then with all the cameras around the vehicle, it will, as you drive forward in the calibration process, it will actually detect the size of the trailer and calibrate it for everything for your unique towing experience.
So when we were talking a little bit offline, you were showing me some cameras and things like that on here, and this right here behind the wheel will kind of walk you through the process. And let's see, I think you told me to hit the OK button initially, and that's what popped up the cameras. And this is just really cool because, you know, as you're going through the process, it basically tells you, like it weighs the trailer, it, you know, measures the trailer, so you don't have to input anything yourself.
Virtually nothing. You just have to press the OK button for the auto detect, and it will kind of calibrate it all on its own. You only have to drive the vehicle through a short process so that the cameras can pick up all the angles and the size and the weight of the trailer.
Okay, that's really cool. And I'm somebody who doesn't tow a lot, so yeah, I need that. Now, one of the things that Toyota wanted to do with the Tundra Hybrid is make it a towing machine. So the torque comes in at a really low RPM. It operates a lot more like a diesel in that respect. And Toyota says it's supposed to be a lot smoother and more seamless than the regular gasoline model. So even though the gasoline model can tow more, this is supposed to do it better. And right now, behind me, I'm going to have a load that weighs about 3,500 pounds. So let's see how that does. All right, so this is just a quick towing loop, and you all know, if you follow us on this channel, I am not the tower of the duo. I only do it in first drive situations. I live in Chicago. I'm not really going to be towing anything there. So my experience towing is very limited. That's kind of the point of this. But what I've discovered is it's surprisingly easy to tow in this hybrid. In addition to some really good power for a nice little burst of speed, the braking works really well, and I don't feel the weight of the trailer behind me that much. So I'll get to this in my driving impressions, but generally the Tundra Hybrid feels very light and it's very peppy, and that carries through to the towing, and a big part of that is going to be because of all of that torque. I know there are people out there who are going to be disappointed about the fuel economy, but Toyota has made no bones about the fact that the point of this hybrid is to be more fuel efficient, yes, more fuel efficient certainly than the V8 that left, but it's the torque and the towing that really shine here. And again, not a traditional tower here, but I'm really impressed. This is very smooth, and the power is there 100% when I need it, and I don't feel like I am struggling to accelerate, and it's not a problem to stop either. I mean, obviously you've got to give yourself some more space, but this has been a pretty pleasant experience for somebody who doesn't tow, like, ever. So, yeah, the trade-off is you're not going to get 30 miles per gallon, but hey, if you tow, you want to drive this. Okay, because I had such a good experience towing in that vehicle there, that was limited, I wanted to do another tow loop. This time we're going to check out the Capstone model. And instead of about 3,400 pounds, we're going to go with 5,800 pounds. I was able to give you some pretty good driving impressions on towing with that smaller little trailer, but how is this going to do when you add 2,000 pounds of weight? Is it going to be smooth and peppy as it was? Will it be heavier? Is it still as seamless? I don't know. So let's check this one out. All right, so we are on our way back in the Capstone with the 5,800 pound trailer, and I definitely feel a difference here. I can feel the weight of the trailer. It's a little bit heavier, and I feel a little bit of the pulsing with the towing. And by the way, I did not feel that at all with the lighter trailer. It actually didn't feel like I was towing anything. So this, you can feel the weight of the trailer. You've got a little bit of the pulsing, but for the most part, this is incredibly smooth. Now, while I called the other towing experience light and peppy, I wouldn't say this is necessarily light, but it's still fairly peppy. This torque is really nice. So here I am, I'm going uphill, I'm accelerating, and I don't feel like I'm struggling at all. Like, not at all. So yeah, okay, again, I know there's disappointment about the fuel economy, but that wasn't the goal. The goal was a seamless, smooth towing experience, and just from these 2 quick loops that I've done with 2 different trailers, 2 different trims, and doing the same loop, so up and down hills and going about 55 miles an hour, yeah, I'm going to say that Toyota did what they intended to do. This is really nice. Before we get into driving impressions, I want to talk about a couple of nuts and bolts items. So let's talk about pricing and fuel economy. So let's start with pricing. And to get into an iForce Max version, the minimum amount you are going to pay is about $53,000, and that's without the destination fee. Now, if you want to go all in and you are looking at the Capstone model, yeah, you are going to end up spending about $75,000, again, without destination fees. Now, the next thing I'm going to address is fuel economy. You're looking at about 22 miles per gallon in combined driving. That's what you're going to get for a 4x4 model with the hybrid powertrain. And that I said is combined. But what I was getting was not that. Now, I'm going to point out, I'm in California right now. I'm not driving in a vacuum on a straight road at a steady speed. I was driving up and down canyon roads, and I was driving on curvy bits, and so you've got to take my real world with a grain of salt. Plus, I was doing about 17-mile loops, and I did the same loop every time I went out and came back, and sometimes I went a little bit faster. Sometimes I tried to be a little bit gentler on the throttle. But the end of the story is I was driving 4x4 models the entire time, and what I got to the worst fuel economy I got, and we're talking 25 miles per hour to about 55 miles per hour, the worst fuel economy I got was about 17.1 miles per gallon. Now, the best fuel economy I got was 20.3 miles per gallon. So, 3 mile per gallon range, round about 17, round about 20. I did not hit that 22 number. But I was pretty pleased with the power overall. And there's one more little thing that I would like to point out, because again, I know there's probably going to be some huge disappointment about the not 30 miles per gallon. Look at the V8 numbers. Those were not good. The power was less, and the fuel economy was way less. So in combined driving, you were looking at about 15 miles per gallon. I was averaging 20. I'm going to take that as a win in a full-size pickup truck. So it wasn't the 22 they said, but 20, way better than 15. And by the way, if I were driving the V8 Tundra, I probably would have been getting somewhere around 10 or 12. I'm just going to put that out there. So what I want to say is I'm okay with this fuel economy. Let's move on to driving impressions. Now, moving on to the hybridness side of the driving impressions, I'm going to talk about power, because I know that there are going to be people out there who are thinking, meh, it doesn't have a V8, meh, I'm not interested. I'm not going to lie, I love a good V8, and I'm certainly sorry to see them go away. There's just a visceral feeling that you get, the rumble of the engine and the way that it feels with the vibration coming through the pedal. I get it. I get it. You're talking to a manual transmission owner here. I get the visceral aspects of driving. But this vehicle has all the power that you could possibly want. So we talked about that a little bit when we were doing the towing exercise, but in terms of everyday driving, this has excellent off-the-line start, which means it's also going to do really well in passing maneuvers, and a lot of that is going to have to do with that torque that we've been talking so much about. It's got good low-end torque, so that gives you the peppy starts and the nice acceleration that you want, not only in towing, but also in just normal everyday driving. And I have to tell you, I've actually been having fun. While I do think that the Tundra drives big, and that's probably due to my driving position, I get it, it drives fast and peppy. And when you're talking about a vehicle that's going to weigh more than 5,000 pounds and can tow heavy stuff, that is a good thing. So I want to point out, I don't feel any turbo lag, and I really think that in general, this powertrain is pretty amazing. I've only had a brief time behind the wheel of the regular engined vehicle, and I like this a lot. I like it better. And so, again, I know, people are wah-wahing the V8 engine and, you know, shedding a little tear, but give this a try. That's all I want to say to you is give it a try, and you won't miss it. It's got more horsepower than any other V8 that is still in this segment, and yeah, it's nice, it's smooth, it's seamless. So in terms of the hybridness of the powertrain, I like it. All right, we have talked about towing, we've talked about fuel economy, and we have talked about the hybridness of this powertrain. So I think that means it is time for me to wrap this up and say I will see you down the road.